Everybody, we're here on the Huckleberry Spur Trail. We're plant interpretive signs 14 and 15. It's called a little landing pad. It's a very interesting kind of rock formation where everything looks quite different. And we have two different species of Arctostaphylos here, and we're going to learn this one first, Arctostaphylos crustacea, subspecies crustacea. And the common name of that is brittle-leaf manzanita. Manzanitas, we're going to learn several of them here in the Bay Area. And there are over 100 named manzanita species and subspecies, and probably almost 100 of them endemic to California. They are a really important part of the California flora, and they can really dominate, especially areas with poor soils or chaparral habitats where there's a lot of frequent fire. And manzanita taxonomy, how to identify manzanitas, has been really contentious. People have been arguing about it for over 100 years. And one of the reasons is because a lot of the manzanita species have incredibly small ranges. This one, crustacea, actually has a pretty big range, and it lives from Santa Barbara all the way into Mendocino County. Manzanita County. But one thing that I'm going to encourage you guys to do, and I'm looking at this really cool book called Field Guide to the Manzanitas, is what we're going to try to do is really to be able to confidently identify a manzanita, you really need to know where you are. And one thing this book has, which is cool, is a list per county of all manzanitas. So here we are in Alameda County. There's actually only 4 species of manzanita in Alameda County. There's 1,000 species of manzanita in Manzanita County. So that's good. And there are 2 here at this park. And so rather than going through all the technical characters that people use to define the species, I'm going to help you separate these 2 out. But I'm going to be talking about things that we'll use in the future to separate manzanita species, like when we go to Marin County. They'll be completely different ones. So manzanitas in general, though, have some genus level characteristics. And that is they have evergreen leaves that are really coriaceous or leathery, and they're often sticking straight up. And that's one characteristic. Another characteristic is they have reddish or red-brown bark that's very smooth, especially as you get towards the top of the plant. And that might remind you a little bit of madrone, which we learned in Strawberry Canyon, which is in the same family, the Ericaceae. This species, a couple characteristics I'm going to point out. One is this very strange structure called a burl, which is basically a swollen woody structure that goes underground. You can see it really well from here. And what that is if a fire comes through here, all the above ground vegetation will burn, but that burl is going to be insulated under the ground, and it's going to be able to survive and then resprout. And so about half of the manzanitas have these burls. And in fact, this book goes on and on about burls, and we'll use them to help separate out species. The problem, though, with burls is that although sometimes they're very obvious, sometimes they're kind of hard to see, or just you don't see them at all. And so that I don't really want to start with a burl as something that you should look for first, but if you do see it, it can be helpful in identifying. So this species, crustacea, is supposed to generally have burls. Another thing that this has, a cool characteristic, is the top side and the bottom side of the leaf have different amounts of stomata on them. And if you take 2 leaves and you flip one of them over, you'll notice that the bottom side is a little paler than the top side. And that will separate out from other manzanitas that we'll learn that have both sides of the leaf being the exact same color. Okay, so that's good. Another characteristic for learning manzanitas here at Huckleberry is this species, crustacea, has petioles that are a couple, about half a centimeter long. You can see some hairs on the stem. but there's a very defined petiole, and then you just have kind of a base that's at 90 degrees of the leaf, and that's going to be very different from the next Manzanita species that we learn. All right, so your brittle leaf Manzanita, you can see this one is a really small individual. Here's another one. This is another crustacea, but they can be 6 feet tall as well, and we'll see them throughout Huckleberry. It's got leathery leaves that are slightly paler on the underside than on the top side. They have petioles and a kind of a 90-degree angle leaf base on those petioles, and a burl. Okay.